Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. Farmland values have been in the news recently with the sale last week in Missouri of 115 acres for $34,800. Just ag ground, reportedly no development pressure. A reminder that farmers are still facing higher input prices at places throughout the growing cycle. Joining us now to talk about this is Holly Spangler. She serves as the senior editor for Prairie Farmer, and Holly has been tracking these input prices. Holly, thanks for joining us here.
You bet. Thanks, Mike.
You know, we're seeing farmland values come into the news, certainly higher prices for sales. Holly, I'm curious if we're getting any word yet on what cash rent prices could look like for the 2024 season.
Yeah, you know, everybody I have spoken with here in Illinois is talking about cash rent prices holding steady. And nobody wants to say the word decline, but a lot of the farmers I talk to are pushing for, hey, let's switch to a flex lease. That's really going to benefit the landowner in a good year. And then they'd share a little of the risk together in a less good year. And some of those prices farmers are paying out on flex leases are right up there with the top, end of cash rents in a lot of cases in good years.
And so farmers are looking for the cash leases even at those high prices because of the flexibility, Holly?
Yeah. I mean, a flex lease is designed to have a base rent, and that's a kind of guaranteed level, and then it will go up based on how the crop does, inputs, all those kind of things.
Okay, so we do see maybe some stability when we're looking at cash rents, but we've got some good news for growers elsewhere in input prices, Holly. I understand the cover story for the October Prairie Farmer is going to be about the price break in fertilizers. Can you talk a little bit about what you and your team researched?
Yeah, absolutely. Our October cover story is really looking at this phenomena that farmers saw as they headed into this fall, which is prices of fertilizer being off almost by half compared to a year ago. And that's a great surprise. But it's also like, why? What's going on in our markets that's causing that to swing that wildly? And that's what we wanted to look at. The Illinois ag retailers are reporting prices being off as much as 42-49% from a year ago. And that makes a big difference for a farmer who goes, and priced anhydrous at $1,100 a ton last year. And you go in this year and it's $600. What gives?
Absolutely. And what'd you find? Can you give us a little taste of what you learned?
Yeah, absolutely. So like a lot of what's happened, a lot of it goes back to Russia and Ukraine and Belarus and the instability in that part of the world, natural gas supplies to Europe, that Nord Stream pipeline being cut off there at one point. And that affects all these global fertilizer supplies, right? And the demand on it. And especially, 90% of our potash here in the Midwest comes out of Canada, right? It comes here on a rail car. And so if all of our potash is coming from Canada, why is the price fluctuating so much based on the other side of the world? Well, potash only comes from 3 places in the world, Canada, Belarus, and Russia. And when you change any of those prices in other places, it's got to be wrapped up here too.
It certainly does. Almost 50% savings on fertilizer. It's an opportunity for farmers to take advantage of. That's Holly Spangler, senior editor at Prairie Farmer. Holly, thanks for joining us this week.
You bet. Thanks so much, Mike.
And thanks to all of you for joining us here for This Week in Agribusiness. Be sure to join us next week. We'll have more weather, market, and news conversation related to agriculture right here. Take care, everybody.
This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Case IH. This Week in Agribusiness is produced by Omax Communications in association with 22 Creative Group. We invite you to visit us online at agbizweek.com.